the States, super. When I lived in the States, they were pronouncing me as Anna all the time, and I had to tell it's Anna, not Anna. So,
oh, you're that Anna, that famous rich...
Yeah, that's right. Well, hello, Andrew.
Hello.
Well, how are you today?
I'm doing great.
Well, I'm happy to have you here. Welcome to podcast Kako si na poslu sa Anom I Vesnom, or How do you feel at work, translated into English. This is the place where we talk about the burnout prevention and about well-being at work. I love how English have all those words. You know, when I have to explain this in Serbian, it's a bit, I need more words. And we believe that this topic is very important and that we should talk about it more. And I'm very happy that you're my guest today because I know that you have a lot of useful information to share about that. Yeah. First, I'll introduce you. So in order not to mess something up, I'll be half reading this part. But my guest today is Andre van Kempen. That's not how he pronounces his name, but my pronunciation is good enough. Together with a friend, he founded e-commerce development company that's nowadays awarded the #1 e-commerce agency in the Emerce top 100 of the Netherlands. However, in 2016, he went through years of substance abuse, which led him to depression and burnout. He sold his company to explore the world, to find a way how to break old habits and patterns and reconnect with himself. This journey included working in different cultures and environments around the world while learning and trying different mindfulness practices and learning about different self-help and self-development methods. Thanks to everything he's learned along the way, he founded Bujo. Is that how you...
Yeah, we call it Bujo Education.
Okay, Bujo Education, a training and consultancy company. So to now together with his wife, he's helping companies have healthy employees, effective teams, and people-oriented leaders. And we will talk more about all of this. But for the beginning, since this is the podcast where we talk about burnout prevention and you have a very deep experience with it, can you share more about your burnout experience?
Yeah, I think for me it was a little bit maybe the final kick, I think, was the burnout. I think I was already running around for, say, 1 or 2 years as the chicken without the head and just keep on going, and with a certain feeling like I'm so resilient, I will never get a burnout. It's just keep on going. I think we had around 25 employers. Really fancy office, like a little bit the dream of the IT entrepreneur. We had it all, and yeah, on the end, there was nothing. And I think that was really...
How come there was nothing when you had it all?
I think more when I went to work, it took so much energy to open that door, to put a smile on the face, to step into the office, to be that friendly, helpful person who is there for their employers. I was doing a lot of sales, so that was good. I could stay away from the office. I just showed up on a Friday and I was that person. But before, I was the designer, the creative person, the one who made everything related to identity, helped clients in a creative way. But because of another person who got a burnout, it was time for me to step up and to do the sales. And it went well, but it was not my passion. And I think that's where the burnout sometimes kicks in.
So you were missing your passion.
Yeah. I think it's sales is cool. It gives a certain adrenaline kick when you close a deal, when you on the top of the building. But if you don't close the deals and if you have all the burden on your shoulders of a team of 25 people and you can't find or close that deal and you go in that spiral, I think that was the moment that the combination and the addiction in combination with feeling quite lonely, depressed, too much pressure, was the day that I was sitting in front of my partner, tears in the eyes, and say, I can't do this anymore. And yeah.
So did you start using substances to make yourself work more, be able to work more? Or was it because you were not satisfied with what you were doing, so you were kind of trying to find another way to find happiness or purpose?
Yeah, I think it was more to be away from everything. To just, now I see it more than to numb myself. To don't have to think, don't have to feel, don't have to do, just be. And it started on parties where it's accepted, fun with friends, and it moved to the living room by just being lonely, sad, depressed, and putting on the mask every time when I left the living room and being the happy person with his successful company. So
so from the outside you were completely successful.
I think so. Hopefully they saw certain things that they were aware that maybe things went.
Did people notice and see that something was wrong?
Yeah, I think also a little bit the problem in the IT world. It's like, what is success? People are running, they are not even aware of other people. They are trying to make everything as fast, big and perfect as possible. So it was a good way for me to camouflage, to it's easy not to be seen in a world like that.
It's interesting that you're living among people but they don't notice what's going on.
Yeah, so it's
And for how long did you live like that?
I think for sure a couple. I don't know. I think it's the same as creating of a habit. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And I think it's the same with you use it for pleasure, and then you see that it also can mascara certain other things. And I think it was a couple of years, something, maybe even longer. It's perception of time
is different.
I don't know, things are going so fast.
And what was the breaking point? So what was the time or what happened? Did something happen when you talked to your colleague and told him that you cannot do it anymore?
I think I remember that I had a coaching call with because the funny part, like on one side I was falling apart, and on the other side I was practicing meditation. I had one or two coaches around me who were helping me with more performance, functioning better. And when I left the building, things were not really functioning. But still I kept up, and I remember that I had a chat with my coach, and I needed to fill in a certain list to a little bit creating a happiness score. And after filling in the list, he really looked in my eyes and he said, like, you're pretty fucked up or not? I said, everything came out. I said, like, I literally don't know what I'm doing. And that was the moment that I broke. It was exactly with Eastern. So if you have the whole story from Jesus, it's like he literally also falls apart. But I think also at the moment of arising afterwards. And as a entrepreneur, I think you are an entrepreneur for 24 hours a day, sometimes even more, and you need to take constantly responsibility. And I think that's maybe one of my downfalls. But in that moment, also one of the things that really helped me, because it was like, okay, I was in the moment, this doesn't function anymore. And 2 days later, I already created my recovery plan to leave the company for a couple of weeks, to go to Thailand, to find myself, work on myself. A couple of weeks became a little bit longer, but it was... it's intense, because you really feel like you're a failure. It's like everything that was there falls apart and doesn't function anymore. And
so you built a company which is successful, and you have like 25 people working for you, and you feel like a failure.
In that moment, yes. But later, when I look back now, I think like, what a hero, functioning just as a half person with all the problems, but still realizing that kind of organization or mission, or and it's still standing. So that's pretty cool.
So, but while you were working and being in that dysfunctional mode, you were having some kind of help from your company. You mentioned coaches and meditation, or that started later?
Yeah, I think I was always already a little bit addicted to personal development. So yeah, it was more like on my own interest. I always had, I think maybe one was more related to, say, my personal business development. The other one more, okay, how can I function better than a meditation coach? And so yeah, it was how it's normally written in the books. I did it all, but it's, yeah, if I think the base is not functioning, like that, the goal or the purpose, it's not there. Like you can keep on putting plasters on anything, but
so it wasn't until you stopped working where you were working and doing what you were doing that you started recovering.
I also tried like the other things to recover from drugs abuse. Only in that same environment it was the environment was bringing you down, and then or down or up, or it was just like I think the same if you are in a train and the train is driving. It's not that you think like, let's jump out, because you know for sure that you will keep bruises, or maybe you don't even survive it, or it was really that feeling like if I couldn't step out. The train was just going, and
I think that's how many people feel when they, get into the work and all the things that they're doing. Like, I cannot let this go. I have to.
Yeah, and then one day I thought, fuck it, I jump, and it's
even if I jump, it will be better than if I stay.
Yeah, and it's like, don't get me wrong, I really loved what I did, and I'm so proud and so useful that I did it, because I use so many of those skills still in the things that I'm doing at the moment. Yeah,
we'll talk about that as well. But tell me, how long did the recovery process take? And I know that you tried different methods and different things during so can you tell us more about that, and how did that go?
Yeah, I have to say that was quite a journey. I think for me a little bit like, if I go for it, I go for it. So I thought, what can I do to feel better? I think that my addiction wasn't really the problem. I think it was more something that was covering up the real problem. So I thought, okay, I can go to rehab or something like that, but I really want to try another way to find the answer inside of myself. And I thought, if I can find the answer, maybe all the other things are solving itself around me. So I applied for a 10-day water fast on an island in Thailand.
Water fast.
So it was, paying a lot of money for drinking just water. So, but it was like a life-changing experience. It was,
what do you feel like? Is it hard? Is it like? Do you get addicted? Like, what happens?
Yeah, you have a couple of days that's pre-fast that you really get you feel like a rabbit, you get some salad and that's it. But still the environment, it's amazing because you're on a tropical island, you just lay in a hammock and you have a good life.
So grass is fine when you're on a tropical island,
Still you have some coconut, so that makes it good. But it was... I also had no clue when I came there. I thought like, okay, sounds like a challenge, a healthy challenge. But when I came there, it was like a whole program with you needed to have some silicon husk that maybe cleaned more the interior and remove bacteria, having supplements for the good bacteria, and it was pretty intense. But I think around there was also meditation, yoga, so like the whole shebang together to feel better. And I think at day 4 I really thought, what am I doing? Let's go for a burger. It will be great. But I thought, no, I really need to continue. And that was the moment that I started to exercise a little bit more, to in the morning to walk to the beach, to run a little bit, to swim. And the funny part, I became every day more and more energized, but also other people, they really on day 7 they were just laying, they couldn't do anything. And for me it was, I don't know, I really felt like reborn, like so much stress, and I think also anger and fear and all the feelings, they were gone. And I was, after a couple of or I could feel myself again, and it was so strange to meet that person after such a long time. So it was interesting.
Nice. And what else did you try except water fasting?
Yeah, like if you do water fasting, it really, you become so sensitive from it. And yeah, it was really like from a movie, that you have like that spiritual center where some people are in the corner with the crystals, and on another place there they do some body work, then some yoga. So it was all together, and I don't know, I thought let's try some more. So also there I started to educate myself in Reiki, because I thought it's a really good approach. If I'm more stressed, I can use it for myself. So I did a lot of trainings, courses, but more to, okay, how can I fill my personal security bucket? If I need something, that I can grab it and that I can really help myself. So yeah, I did some quite strange healing techniques over there.
Reiki healing?
Yeah, Reiki, but also we did in a, yeah, it was such an experience. We did ayahuasca somewhere in a beach house.
Can you explain what is ayahuasca?
Yeah, I think it's a kind of a medicine that really brings you inside of yourself and brings out the worst, but also the best, and gives you a certain answer that maybe can help you to make different decisions.
Did you do all of that in Thailand, or was it different retreats?
Yeah, I did that in Thailand, and then I went back home because I felt better. I became vegan. I didn't drink anymore. Don't use drugs. Totally zen. And yeah, then I came back in the Netherlands, and I think if I was wearing the orange suit, I think I was really the monk, the crazy dude who was walking around in the city. So yeah, I think that also was not really sustainable. I think it was the other angle of me, the dude with the spiritual bypass, who was, yeah, I think camouflaged in a different way. So that was the moment that I really sold my shares of my company and said, like, okay, this is, in my ID, just the beginning. So yeah, I continued my travels, and yeah, the moment I went to Australia to also, yeah, practice, it's theta healing. It's another way to, yeah, I think more to remove certain negative beliefs or transform them more to positive beliefs. Then also I practiced mindful or 14-day silent retreat that I did in the mountains in Thailand, because then I went back to Thailand. Then I met my wife, now my wife, Vesna, in a mindful recovery community. And yeah.
So what is it like to not talk for 14 days? And what do you do while, like, you're literally not talking at all, forbidden to talk for 14 days?
You don't talk, you just do sitting meditation, walking meditation, sitting meditation, walking meditation, and then you sleep
for 2 weeks.
And then you do it again and again and again, and then you really start to talk to yourself. And yeah, I think it was one of the best experiences that I had ever in my life. It was so quiet, full, intense, because I'm normally quite a talkative person. But I think after that moment, it was like, yeah, for me it was also more a challenge, like, okay, also people around me like, yeah, right, you are gonna be silent for 14 days. Nah, we don't believe that. So I thought, let's give it a try, and yeah, it was really interesting. And I think it's now also that I easier can go back to
being silent,
that moment, but more to, yeah, like it's not that I Holy Spirit meditate daily or that kind of stuff, but it's more in certain activities. Like I really love cooking. When I'm cooking, it's like really leave me alone. I'm in my bubble. They also don't need to help me. I just do it by myself and make amazing food. It's on the table, and that's the end of my meditation. So it's more that I love to design. So I really found, say, activities that I'm already doing, but how can I use the knowledge that I gained during that silent retreat to implement it during activity? So it's yeah.
Yeah, being mindful while you are doing the activities that you enjoy.
Yeah, because I don't know, I'm not really the person who wakes up in the morning and then just sit for a half hour or something. No, I love to do something. Sometimes if my head is totally crazy, okay, I use that kind of methods. To more, yeah, it's nice to have all the knowledge and that it's possible to use it in personal practice. And yeah, I think that helps me the most.
Yeah, I think that's the best knowledge actually, when we go through the experience and then we know, because when we're just learning or reading or listening from other people, that's not enough.
Yeah, and I think also with mindfulness, it's like, yeah, they call it a little bit Mac mindfulness. It's like the same, you can go for a really decent burger or you go for McDonald's, like, hey, quick burger. It's also with mindfulness, like it takes time. It's not like, let's practice new mindfulness so you have tomorrow benefits. No, it's let's start to live more mindful so we will have more benefits when we maybe need it. So it's yeah. And I think those 14 days in silence really brought me to that awareness, like, okay, so this is where you can go, and it's interesting.
Nice. So when is the time that you said, okay, I can stop now with 10 days fasting, Ayurveda retreat and 14 days in silence, but I want to go back to work? And when did that happen? How did you decide what you're gonna do next? And was that the terrifying question? Like, okay, you had this company, you sold it, you went out to found yourself, you tried all these different things, but weren't you scared, like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, there's still a lot more years until, in my life, so what do I do?
Yeah, I think that really the because by practicing all those things, you really start to believe in, I don't know how they call it, the divine, or like there is something that guides us, so it will be always fine and it doesn't matter, you don't have to worry. Now I think I really see it as a spiritual bypass, that it's like, okay, you just drop responsibility and you hope that things are coming to you. Still, I try to find the balance in, okay, I really need to work for it, but I also need to trust in all the elements are maybe coming together, but if not, then you maybe need to work twice as hard to still make it work. And I think really what helped me after my whole, say, spiritual journey, that I met my wife with a Serbian background, with 2 feet on the ground, who really, brought me back. And yeah, I think the after part of the whole spiritual journey was, from the tropics moving to Serbia together with Vesna. And I think that really gave me certain insights, like, okay.
Yeah, that's a big change, but that's also how you allowed the things to get together and all the squares to fall together and tell you what to do next. Yeah,
I think we met on the right moment. It's yeah, it's I don't know. I think maybe a lot of people saw it maybe as say a holiday love or something, but we became first buddies, and then we fell crazy in love. And I don't know, all the other problems I think that we put now on our shoulders with, okay, 2 different languages, even 3, because we talk in English. Now my roots are Dutch, Vesna Serbian. If we want to have a child, okay, how about the language? We live in Slovenia, so let's make it more difficult. Yeah. So yeah, I think for me it was like, I think I met my rock, and I think that was the moment, like, okay, let's continue.
Let's do something else.
Yeah.
So can you tell us more about what you do now, and how actually you implement all the experience and knowledge that you gained in your previous lives in this one today?
Yeah, I think a really important part is, I think I'm more the guy behind the scenes at the moment. That is, I focus mostly on strategy, but I think important, we really try to bring mindfulness and other mind-body approaches in a little bit more down to earth, but also, I don't know if cool is the right word, but more that it's like there are a lot of, I think you have mindfulness that's really spiritual. Often there's a certain scene around, and I think that scene is maybe not really the same scene as organizations. So I think, with my background and Vesna's background, who brought mindfulness, attention, stress release, now also mindful self-compassion, I think almost all the approaches, she was the first one. So at the moment, I think I'm more her agent, her marketing strategic dude who helps her to create more stages where she can talk about her mission. And at the moment, because I think mindfulness, it's what I already said, it's not if you start today that you tomorrow have benefits. So we really are searching what can be an approach that we can bring to organizations that really, after they do it, that they think like, whoa, this works. Now, that's like theory, that's tension stress release exercising. You do just a couple of easy exercises, your body creates a natural tremor that really shakes off the stress. And that's something that's really easy to integrate in an organization. Maybe they do already yoga, only yoga can maybe also have a certain spiritual sense around it, or I think if you see certain ITers, they just like to sit on the chair and that's it. They just want to program and just leave me alone. But I think really theory approach, it really suits everyone. If you can, I think the exercises are so easy that everybody can do them and everybody will have results from it. So we really use that approach to say as the Trojan horse, to bring in the organization, to surprise them, to really, just try it. Let's see how it works. And from there we can continue the conversation. Because maybe then they want to maybe make their meetings more mindful, or they want to work more on their culture. Like, how can we really create certain mindful activities during the week? Or what I said in my purpose was missing. I was from one function to the other function, and I think that really broke me down. It was like, that certain North Star, it was not there anymore. And I really also believe if we can help our organization with creating that North Star, BHAG, that really ultimate thing that can be seen by everyone, instead of that it's just management. I think we will go there and the sheeps will follow. No, I think in nowadays that doesn't work anymore. I think it really needs to be the roof open and see that star. That's where we are going together, and we need to help each other to come there.
And that's what you help companies do. I mean, do workshops that is helping them create the culture that is going to be healthy and move the company forward.
Yeah, and I think also creating a lot of awareness. I think it's think there's still a little bit of a stigma around that it's like our owners or CEOs are maybe still a little bit scared, like, okay, but what? I think first, like, they were those unreachable, strong people that are just, you even needed to do so much things to get with them around the table to have a normal conversation. But I think now in new cultures, it's like they become one of them. They are even, I think you see it already in soccer. The coach is it's part of the team. It's maybe even the most important person of the team who sees everything, who says, hey, you need to do this, you need to do that. But not the person who is doing everything. And I think that really, needs education for the team, but also for the managers.
For the leaders, yeah.
Because if we help the team to become more aware, but the managers are still on the other level, it even can maybe create more stress, that really people start to leave because they don't feel that they can express what they learned in the organization. So it's really a game that we play. Vesna is more focused on the employers and I'm more focused on the management. Like, okay, so if we bring the employers to this level, you guys also need to rise. You also need to drop certain things, you need to attract things, and you really need to change as a person.
So how do you so how can leaders or HR, whoever's responsibility is in organization, make their culture and people be more people-oriented?
I think that there are three really important elements. Now, mindfulness, we already talked quite a lot about it. But I think it's also kindness. And not kindness like cuddling together, but really being kind towards another person and really understand the other person and also help them to go to the next goal, be resilient together, to really listen to each other, and also the part of common humanity. Like, it's maybe as an example, like, okay, there's maybe always a person who is too late in the meeting. Now, often people become angry towards that person, but maybe never ever a person asks, like, hey, why are you always late? What is the problem? Maybe she needs to bring her child to the daycare. There is always, all the parking spots are already filled, so she needs to run, she's sweating, and then, oh shit, I'm finally in the meeting. And then she also gets from the employers like, oh, there she is again too late. But if you maybe ask her the question like, hey, what can we do for you? Why are you late? Maybe said like, yeah, I always need to 2 blocks walking because the parking spot. So maybe one simple thing, keep for her 1 parking spot in front of the door open, as common humanity, as supporting your team. So she can bring her child to the daycare, she can drive, she can park, and she is on time of the meeting. Or maybe schedule it 50 minutes later. So I think really starting to understand that I think everybody has difficulties. But if we don't share the difficulties with each other, I think it's really difficult to solve them and to make a better environment. So that's what I think.
Yeah, I see. We are approaching the end of this episode, but for the end, I want to get really specific and give some advice to people who are listening and watching. So what are okay? You said, I mean, like listening to your employees and asking them and finding the solution together. But what are maybe if you can tell us like 3 top things that people in companies, leaders in companies can do to make sure that their workplace is safe and healthy and are people oriented actually.
Yeah, I think it's still, I will come back to listening, but real listening. If somebody asks a question, don't think about the answer of the question, but listen to the question. And maybe even have a short break. In that break, the person will feel that you listen. You have the time to think about the question and to answer the question. And I think it's so that maybe you already know directly the question, but doesn't matter. Just give that other person the feeling that you are there. And I think it's really easy to do it by listening and really listening instead of hearing and answering. I think in my eyes that's not really listening to a person. So I think that's the first thing. I think the other part, it's be the example. I think it's important to be, I think as HR, to be powerful, but I think it's also really important to show that it's okay to make mistakes, to be vulnerable, to really show your true side instead of
being perfect.
Yeah, because nobody's perfect. It's like, I think if you start to show certain things that are maybe, I don't know, maybe that you find difficult, or maybe even certain things that are happening that really makes you feel worse or ashamed, or use those things to open a conversation. And yeah, I think that's important. If you don't talk about it, it's like, yeah, then also nothing will happen. And then number 3,
so we have the listening and talking.
Yeah, I think this number 3, I think, take a moment
and slow down.
Yeah, I think it's everything goes so fast, and it's I think often we are doing so many things that we are doing something, and I think
to feel busy.
Yeah, because it feels so good to say like, oh, I'm so busy.
Running around.
Yeah, so it's somebody can say I'm busy, or they can also use the words like, I'm really bad in organizing myself. So I think it starts with in the morning, just make your list. What are the most important things to do? And include also the moment of maybe taking some rest, having maybe that first cup of coffee, just relaxed. I know for sure then you will be way more productive instead of just opening your email box, and you will never empty your email box. It's like, I don't know what it becomes. It's like really, yeah, something that takes over your life, your job. And if you start to answer, of course you get a lot of answers back. Even with that, really make mindful emails. Just make them clear and understandable. And also, you don't have to do everything that another person asks. Protect yourself.
Exactly. Yeah, nice. I love the last part, because sometimes you really need to slow down in order to be able to go fast when needed.
Yeah.
Because it's not necessary to go fast all the time and to be running all the time.
I think the same.
Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us and for being my guest today.
Yeah, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Both ways. Hvala vam što ste nas gledali i slušali. Vidimo se za nedjelju dana na istom mjestu. Do tada, budite nam dobro. It's an interesting story. Really. I enjoyed it. It was really interesting for me, and then I just hope that it will be for other listening as well. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.